Hello everybody, welcome to Civ House. I'm Rob, and today we're going to be taking a look at another create your own leader for Civ 7 in George Washington. That's right, it is July 4th here in the United States, and I thought in honor of that we would do the father of a nation in George Washington. I know that he's been in previous games, and I wanted to make him maybe a little bit different than he had been before, with much more of a military focus, a little bit of diplomacy in there just because of the influence that he will get from his ability. But we will dive into that here in a second. As always, I'm going to ask you guys like and subscribe. Like if you enjoy this content, subscribe if you want to see more of it. We will have another one of these coming out here in honor of July 4th. And I ask you guys if there are any holidays or any independence celebrations that you guys have coming up in your nations that you would like for us to make a civ for or make a leader for. Let me know in the comments section below. But like I said, I wanted to do a little bit of a different spin here with George Washington. His ability, father of a nation, again, is a much more militaristic one, and one that I was teetering on being a little bit too strong, but I feel like this kind of works. I just literally got done watching a documentary on the Revolutionary War, on George Washington, and you know, what really stood out to me was just how inspirational he could be, sometimes with just his presence, right? They talk about how tall he was, especially back in the day, being, I think he was 6'2 or 6'3, which even for nowadays is not necessarily a short person. I'm considered to be a taller person, and I'm about 6 feet, a little over 6 feet tall. So he's tall even for, you know, today's standards. And his ability is that all commanders receive a new ability called Inspiration. This ability can instantly heal all units within the commander's radius by 50% of their max health. This can be used once every 10 turns. Also, you gain +1 influence and +1 happiness for every enemy unit defeated, and +1 war support for every 5 units defeated. So the idea is with him, again, you're going to be able to keep your armies very healthy, no matter, you know, which civilization you go with throughout all of history. Your commanders are going to be able to keep your units very, very healthy. Now, he's obviously not going to be able to spam this, so you're going to have to time it, right? Maybe you're not able to keep your entire front necessarily healed, but I feel like this is very strong, and that's why I didn't want to do too much more with it. But I thought the, you know, bonus, the stacking bonus of the influence plus happiness, right? So the idea is that, you know, he's a revolutionary commander. As he's winning more battles, you know, the 13 colonies, which I almost made them a civ. I thought about it, but I feel like there were some good antiquity and exploration civs. Obviously, it would be more exploration age, but, you know, we already have those. So I wouldn't hate a 13 colonies civ. I think it'd be really interesting to see that. But regardless, I thought that the +1 influence and happiness would help as well to then combine into the war support for units defeated. So the more that he's actually out there winning, right, the more influence he's going to have, the more his people are going to be happy, the more celebrations they will have for winning their wars, essentially. And, you know, he will essentially intimidate, you know, his opponents. The more that he starts to kind of roll them over, the more they will start to win. And this is kind of how it was even during the Revolutionary War, right? He was living to fight another day, constantly trying to keep the Continental Army, you know, with people happy. But the problem is they just kept losing until they stopped losing, mostly because the French came in and kind of saved their butts, if we're being honest. But once they finally started winning, once they finally became, you know, real soldiers, instead of, you know, Minutemen or militia, they started to kind of get on a roll. And once they started rolling, the war just kept getting easier and easier for them. You know, they took out Cornwallis in the south, and they were able to, you know, kind of force terms essentially over time. So, you know, to celebrate that, I felt like George Washington would be a great person, and I really like this ability as somebody who likes military in the game. I think it also, if you still are playing with legacy paths on, right, I think that this would be a great way to, you know, expand and settle your empire. I almost went military expansionist, but Washington wasn't really trying to take territory in the sense of expanding necessarily. I know that they did a little bit of expansion, obviously, and he was part of it, but for the most part, I wanted him to be somebody who is different from, I believe it's Xerxes, King of Kings, where his units get stronger in the sense of you're getting that +1 attack strength. I wanted it to be more of the whole nation is kind of rallying behind him, getting happier. He's able to use that influence for his espionage, for his spies, like he did. He's using that war support to kind of, hamper down the enemies. And I will say the last thing on this ability is I did think about maybe making the units a little bit higher or a little bit lower, but I wanted it to be more than like one commander's worth of units, essentially. And so, I didn't want him to be able to get like too much of an advantage, but I figured, 5 seemed like a good amount. I almost went to 8. Maybe 10, somewhere around there, I think would be good. And then you're just kind of stacking that war support. It's not like you're Harriet Tubman, you're getting 5 automatically to start. So that's kind of the idea, is that he beats them down with his ability, with his units, and with influence, and with the happiness, thrown in there as well. Obviously, unlocks America in the modern age. No surprise there. With the age unlock, recommended civs, I went with Persia, mainly because I think he is going to be amazing with the Hamarana Council, where you're getting that +3 combat strength. So, really easy to kind of get stacking. The Immortals also already kind of healed themselves for defeating units. So, if you've got them low, you can use this commander ability to kind of get them back up there. That gets you that extra strength, maybe like near the end of a battle, right? And then you're able to take out the opponent's units. They're getting the heals. You're getting the influence support. I think it would be a broken civ with George Washington. For Mongolia and for Bulgaria, I went with Bulgaria mostly because of the Tarkhan. I mean, if you can stack him with a commander, why not, right? I think for these types of leaders, that kind of give a bonus of some kind to a commander. If you have a unique one already there, felt like Bulgaria made sense. And then I think the Mongolians are probably some of the strongest units when it comes to, trying to conquer your main, continent instead of going across overseas. So that felt good. Obviously with America, I needed to pair him with it. I don't know that America necessarily would be the best, but if you were going for, that expansionist, for that economic victory, he would still be pretty good for that. But then I also put in the Prussians because they're all empire, right? They're all military, excuse me. You have the Hussars, you have the Stukas, right? You're getting the combat strength. Because at this point you probably are pissing off other people, with the wars that you are in, to try to, get the legacy points and things that you need as well. So, like I said, I wanted to go with something a little bit different than what we have seen from him in the past. I hope that you guys enjoy this. Again, as a quick teaser, there is going to be another one of these coming out, actually, right away, pretty much. In honor of a different leader, somebody completely out of left field, who I thought would be kind of fun as well. I'll just give you a teaser. Again, it's in honor of July 4th here in the United States. For those obviously who are celebrating it, and if you live in a different country, I hope that you just enjoyed this leader as somebody who would be interesting in the game. And as always, if you are somebody who is modding and would like to use this, please just tag us in it. We would love to see it and be able to, use some of the leaders that we're making in the game. But that is going to wrap it up for us. So, real quick as well, shout out to Jacobian, our Haus family member. We really appreciate the support that you give us. If you guys want to become members and support the channel, it does mean a lot to us. There are 3 different levels that you can join. Feel free to kind of jump into any of them. There are a lot of different things that you can get through them. So I hope that you guys will consider that. But yeah, like I said, that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So from our Hausiers, thanks for watching, and we hope you'll join us for one more turn.